I don't know. Billy, 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 Billy.
3, 2, 1. Hi there, I'm Joanne. Come join. Sorry.
Episodic review.
Jersey Diner.
Jersey Diner.
Jersey Diner.
Coming soon to a screen near you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Jersey Diner, Country Gate Players Jersey Diner. I'm Bill, and I'm here once again with my friends Joanne and Vinny. Hi, guys.
Hey, Bill.
Hello.
And we have a very, very special guest today, and it's so exciting. We're so thrilled. He's born and raised right here in the Garden State, so he's a natural for Jersey Diner.
Oh, yes.
An accomplished, prolific, award-winning actor on stage, in movies, in television. Maybe right now best known for something he did on HBO called Westworld, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. So many other great performances over so many years. But most of all, he is our old good friend. And we are so anxious and happy to welcome to the Jersey Diner the great Jimmi Simpson. Yay!
Go put those hands away. Come on. We're just sitting down at the diner to catch up. I love all you guys, and what a pleasure to be able to spend some time with you, honestly.
Wow, thank you.
Especially at Jersey Diner. I'm good. How are you, Vinny?
Good. I'm good.
You look great.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and everybody at Country Gate is so proud of you, Jimmy. You've done such a remarkable job in your career. We're just all so thrilled.
Well, I'm just so proud to be from Country Gate. Yeah. I'm just I'm so lucky to have been able to have the exposure to great artists at a young age and to know them as friends instead of, it's what a gift, honestly, Bill.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Gave me such a gift.
For sure. Well, we're going to get going here, but one thing the Jersey Diners are known for, Jimmy, there are three things. Okay. Great conversation, pork roll, egg, and cheese sandwiches on hard rolls.
Amen to those. And
great coffee. And we're very fortunate because Joanne is the great coffee maker. So would you like to partake in her coffee, Jimmy?
Well, if it's Joanne, I've heard great stories about her brewing capabilities. Yes, thank you, man.
Thank you. There you go.
Oh, there's a great aroma.
You can smell it already. There
you go.
So much.
Wow,
Bill, do you like coffee?
Oh, yes, please, Joanne, please, yes.
What's that, Peruvian single roast? This is special.
Thank you.
Any
coffee? Do you want coffee?
I think sure.
Right.
Sure, I'll have some coffee.
He looks like he's been burnt before. No pun intended.
Oh, there you go. Now behave yourself, Vinny.
Hey, that's not bad, Joanne.
Hey.
You're 1 for 1.
Okay, so we're going to get going here, and Joanne's going to ask you a little bit about your recollections from your Country Gate days. But before we do that, I wanted to share a very vivid memory that I have, and this goes back to the summer of 1978, and the Country Gate Players were just about to occupy what had previously been the Belvedere Movie Theater. Now, this theater had been abandoned for 3 or 4 years prior to this, and it was in bad shape. It was a mess inside, and we were going to try to get it together for an opening in September of Camelot. So here we are, we're ready to go, and there are 3 of us standing in front of this theater ready to begin this process. It's my wife, Carolyn, it's me, and it's Mary Simpson. your
The
mom.
best,
And
the best human ever.
she was with us. She was equipped with a mop and a bucket. I had a couple of brooms. Carolyn had some cleaning supplies. Carolyn turned the key and opened the front door. And for the first time, we went in to begin the process of getting that theater together. And Mary has been with us ever since. She has been, you know, one of the most solid supporters of our group that we could ever imagine. And I wanted to ask you to start. If she was so supportive to us, my guess is she's been pretty supportive to Jimmi Simpson too, right?
Truly, there's never been a bigger fan of mine throughout the entire breadth of everything I've ever done. She would drive anywhere to see anything. I've said before, I could go to the bathroom on the stage and she would give me a standing ovation. Nothing but support, and also the most loving way. Like her influence on me with theater was never, you should do this, ever. It was her singing Falbruca from Fiddler, I think.
From Sarah, right.
From Sarah, thank you. Oh my God, I did young Frankenstein.
Oh, I remember. That'd be a good part for her too. She'd be great. Yeah. And so she would just sing the songs, and then she at I don't know, single digits, I would start coming to see your plays, and it was always an event because that was the best thing we could possibly do, is go to see a play at Country Gate. And so I feel like we would put on a little blazer and show up back when people tried to like show up in style, and in my JCPenney's blazer, and just every time it was just a magical wonderland, and that began my love of theater. And I really suspected I would be just a lover of watching it, and then again 10 years later, Country Gate shows up and is my first like experience acting in a play on stage, and gave me my first several experiences that were wonderful. I was just giving a talk with some folks, and I'm just always amazed at the long-lasting effect that Country Gate has had on me. When I became a major in theater, finally, the only scenes I would do were from Assassins, because that left such a crazy impression on me. Your John Wilkes Booth, oh God, it was so great. Vic Kuma was the narrator. Oh, he was great. He was great.
That show was spectacular.
Well, in fact, all four of us were in that production.
Oh yes, of course.
Isn't that wild?
Yes.
Yes.
I was Giuseppe Zangara.
Oh yes, of course.
And
Joanne's
got the program. Holy cow!
Wow.
Look at that.
Oh God, that's beautiful. Oh, John was. Oh my God.
You see it?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Nicely done, Joe.
Nice save.
That's for sure. I don't have it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I do.
And
that grimace you would give. No smoke, no fit, no. It was just like you turned into him.
That's right. I remember.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part was a lot of fun. That show was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
I have good memories of that show for sure.
Yeah.
Man.
And Joanne, I think, was in The Sound of Music when you were in it, because weren't you, Joanne? You were. Oh.
I was Frau Schmidt.
Essential Frau Schmidt.
Yes.
Yes, you brought life. That play was wonderful too, and that was the first time Bill put a spotlight on me, and I floundered like the worst of them, but he was helpful and guiding every single time, and I loved the experience personally.
Oh, I remember you were very good.
You were great. You were so good.
Oh yes, I saw that one.
You know, there's no hair cutters available, so you have to cut your hair with trimmers. So I currently have the hair that I had in Sound of Music.
Yes,
because
you do.
I wouldn't cut it because I was like, nah, it's my hair. And I remember even meeting with Carolyn to talk about wardrobe, and I was just like, I was uncomfortable with my thinness in those years. I didn't like how thin I was. And so I always thought the way to hide it was to wear huge clothing, not knowing it just accentuates that you're just a thin, bony frame in the center of all this flapping fabric. But at the time, I was pretty sure that big, huge, baggy pants were essential for me to feel comfortable. And I tried to pitch Rolf wearing huge. And Carolyn's like, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing what you want. They have to fit. The pants have to fit. I'm sure I found the biggest pair she let me wear though too.
That's one problem Vinny and I have never had. We never were too skinny.
No.
You've been perfect your entire life. That's all. You've just been just right. It must be hard.
And I think Vinny was in Secret Garden.
Yes. Yeah, I was in Secret Garden with you.
Yep.
Oh my God, Secret Garden. Oh, that was a fun one, huh?
Oh yeah.
Because it was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it felt like, you know, it wasn't about jokes, it was about the music and the storytelling. Mm-hmm. And it just gives you're able to shift that focus so well, Bill.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and the music's beautiful in it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's true. Yeah, that was wonderful. And that was PK.
Yes, PK Sarah. Yes.
Oh gosh, I haven't been in touch with her, but I loved that human being. Do you keep in touch with Massaras?
The Massaras recently have moved out of this area. So I think I'm still Facebook friends with them, but I don't connect with them as much as I used to.
Mm.
I think I connect with Rebecca Massara.
Okay.
Yeah, Rebecca's who I see most posts from. But I think PK's on Facebook too.
I think
okay.
So. I think all the girls are.
Yeah.
I got off when things got, and we won't go into politics, but I got off when things got hot with politics, and I kind of haven't, just because it's all people you love, Facebook, you know, so I just kind of stepped away, but I'll pop back in for some Country Gate connections.
I agree with you. It's best.
It's tough.
I
agree.
Me too.
Okay. I wanted to shift gears a little bit and talk to you about the Williamstown Theater Festival.
Sure.
And I saw that you did 4 seasons there,
mm-hmm.
right? And now, did you do that concurrently when you were at college, or was that after college?
No, Williamstown is another essential part of my development. They so when a lot of people graduating with theater degree, you get a thing called a showcase where you're presented to people in the industry, just on the off chance that you have a spark that maybe one agent's like, I'll try you out. And at least you get to network. And, you know, being in the middle of like Bucks County, we didn't have that opportunity. So my professor, Karen Anselm, just said, this is the place I know where it can give you the connections that we can't give you. And it's just practical apprenticeship, which is something, you know, I think, not to sound like an old Gen Xer, I guess, but like I'm old now. But like the idea of apprenticeship, the idea of putting in hours to get nothing back but that experience, I think is a little lost these days. And I hope that it gets revived, because it was essential to me. Where I had a motorcycle in college. I sold it for $2,000, and that was my fee to get into Williamstown. And you say you'll commit to working there all summer long, like 10 weeks or something. You can put on your own stuff in the corner of a courtyard. You could take the master classes that the fancier people are there. You know, people going on stage, like Lewis Black was there doing a play, and he was also teaching a stand-up master class, which I took and got to do for free. Well, you know, part of the package. And then you get to meet other actors who are like, I'm committing to this, and this is how I've gotten through my life with these theater kind of facilities that'll find you summer work, a big mass audition. This is how you apply for unemployment when you're not working. This is how you get by. And then you also have these like stars doing their thing, and you just get to be introduced to these people that you see as stars as like, oh, we're all just kind of struggling at this craft. And it just kind of like clears the air a bit, I think, Williamstown. Teaches you a lot and clears the air of like, because I'd never met someone that I'd seen on TV or movie before, Williamstown really. And then to just be like, oh, maybe that is attainable. This is just a guy, a single dad trying to, get his kid through and do this craft. It's not like some kind of other being. And it made it all seem much more accessible to me.
I was surfing around and I found an old archive. It looked like a program from, I guess, a production of Camino Real that we were in. And then I'm looking at the other actors in it, like Ethan Hawke and Hope Davis and Blair Brown.
I know.
And I'm saying, wow. And then also Charlie Day was in that, who became important in your life, I guess, right? Yeah,
absolutely. And 50% of my close friends I've retained from Williamstown. It's that kind of environment. You're there working, sweating, creating together, and you find like-minded souls. And then when the summer's over, you stay connected with them. That was I was a non-equity actor, and it wasn't much. I had to wear a green G-string and be atop the stage for half the play, lounging around, pretending to shoot up heroin for Camino Real. And underneath me, I watched Ethan Hawke and, like you said, Hope Davis. I got to talk to Blair Brown about the days and nights of Molly Dodd. And you remember? And then Nicholas Martin, a beautiful director that passed a few years ago, was the director. So it brings wonderful artists of all calibers and from all different walks of life into one production. And it's those like little exposures. I'm on stage. I don't care that I'm not saying anything. I'm just happy to see this life, as we all know. It's just what it's all about.
Exactly.
And you mentioned Lewis Black, and he became kind of important in your evolving, right? I mean,
he was teaching a stand-up class, and he's all right, you guys, see, I don't know if you're funny. I don't know if I can make it funny. And then he's like, I don't want to hear did you ever notice, what about this? Just tell me something about your life. Just start there. Start with something funny that's happened to you in your life. And I remember this young girl raised her hand and she's like, what if nothing funny's ever happened to you? Then you should kill yourself. And he just brought to it the sense of like, okay, we're all just having fun here. And I told a story, and then we were performing it in the cafeteria just for our friends, because that was the one time we would perform it. And he walked through with his agent to show her the kids he was teaching the class to, and she saw my bit, and that gave me access to an agent, which is one of the most difficult elements of this ridiculous business.
Yeah. Well, it worked out pretty well, I think.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I love Lewis Black. Chelsea last year for Christmas got me a couple of tickets to see him over in Bethlehem.
Amazing.
She drove me over, and he was just brilliant. And I've seen him on television and everybody. He's really great up front too. He's just great.
He truly is. Even another element that you'd be enamored of with Williamstown is at least when I was there, they did a thing called the cabaret, and so every 2 weeks, I think, on Friday night and Saturday night, anyone who's there doing a play can perform a cabaret act. And it was always hosted by Lewis Black. Yeah. And so he would come out, do some bits, and then someone, Scott Wolf would sing a Stevie Wonder song. And, I came out, I did this repeating character called Olive Nightingale, in which I wear this black flowing wig and was kind of like a Rick Ashford type guy. And I would sing Solid as a Rock. and with whoever was there, a girl to sing the co parts. And it was just, it's that kind of like unbridled creativity. You can't sell it, doesn't matter. You can do it here, which is what kind of theater is all about for me. And it's why I get my best experience of figuring out my own craft through doing a play. Inevitably, when the work I do on film, I do after a play, I have uncovered another layer of my own ability through that process of rehearsal and then performance. And the amount of new things you find out of one thing just opens up it just expands your whole horizon with the craft. It's I guess it's not essential because there's a lot of great film actors that don't do theater, but just from my process, however this brain works, I think it's essential.
Well, the three of us always admire the fact that you always tend to go back to the theater, and we always think that's great because that's where we know you from. And
Oh yeah.
In fact, we wanted to kind of focus on that a little bit here.
Sure.
And I think Vinny wanted to talk to you about.
I did.
Go ahead.
I did. I wanted to find out a little bit more about the Farnsworth invention.
Sure.
Which I got to see. Bill brought me along one time, which was great, and it was cool seeing you on Broadway, just because it's Broadway, and hey, we know that guy.
Right.
So that was cool. But what the thing I wanted to tell you that I have found is I find that you're really good at playing really smart, really damaged people. Like sometimes somebody will play that they're smart and they're like, oh, they're acting like they're smart. But I find that you can really sell it to the point where, oh, that guy's smart. And I just wanted to tell you that. I always like that about watching you act.
Oh, thanks, Vinny. Well, smart and damaged is me. No, at least the second one, definitely. I don't know about the first one.
Well, so you're typecast is what you're saying.
Yeah. A certain amount of, verbosity. That's what got me that role is a certain way with words, especially when they're written by someone like Aaron Sorkin.
Oh yeah.
But it's a fun little suit to put on. Is someone their brain functions faster than their heart, and so it's just like they're all their headgears. You see them spinning, and it's kind of brilliant. But this is way behind. There's so much to uncover with roles like that. So I'm definitely attracted to that.
Cool. Tell us a little bit about working with Aaron Sorkin and Hank Azaria and how you got involved in the show and all that.
I had no business being on Broadway, certainly at that point in my career. And so I auditioned for Farnsworth through La Jolla Playhouse. And they were auditioning in Los Angeles. And Aaron was in the room, Des McAnuff was in the room. And, I just read, I actually was like feeding Charlie Day's like cat or watering his plants at his house, and I saw he had a copy of David Mamet's True and False, and I sat down and like took a look and read the whole thing, and I was so high on his take on what it takes to be an actor and what is not needed, like this like scholastic education. It's about having lived life. And so I just dropped right in. I'm so helped by smarter people than me. It's like, it's essential. Everything that I pulled off has been due to someone else's inspiration. So I was really in a good place, and I nailed that audition. And then we got through a pretty good run in La Jolla, and all of a sudden, Steven Spielberg shows up one night at the shows, and then the producer's like, yeah, he's thinking about helping it get to Broadway, and they for some reason kept me with the production when it moved, and the rehearsal for that was just the same as every rehearsal I've ever had. It's just you break it down scene by scene, and then I thought we got to run-throughs really fast. I was just like, oh my God, this machine is moving. And so then it became about run-throughs and then perfecting. And in that in the course of that rehearsal, I just, I fell deeply in love with Sweet Hank Azaria. He's one of those guys where you're like, oh God, I hope that guy's, because you love everything about him when you don't know him, and you just,
Oh yeah.
and then he just exceeds expectations.
Yeah.
Just so funny, giving, and really fun to be around. And so that was an extra treat. It was being able to spend time with an actor I've looked up to
Yeah.
for a long time. And then, another thing, Broadway's, it's a bit of a, there's like this machine quality to that. There's few theaters. The rents are outrageous. They're outrageous. And we were going through an IATSE strike, I think even a writer strike at the same time. And so our thing got delayed, our opening night, and all of a sudden we were in the red. And so there's a huge machine in Broadway, and it kind of, it makes me feel like, oh, you got to know exactly what sells to get up there, unless you're going to do it somewhere else where you don't have that pressure. Like almost every brilliant show on Broadway has started somewhere else at the Public or whatever, where you can truly figure out what the play means. Because Broadway is just like, go, 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 limited time.
Mm-hmm.
But wonderful, wonderful place.
Yeah. Well, I have to just butt in here for a second, Vinny, guys. I pulled this off of my wall today. This is permanently on my wall. It's the program from Farnsworth. And I don't know how well you can see this, but this is also a picture after the first time. I saw the show twice, but the first time I'm there with Jimmi and Mary, and our dear friend Sal Marcello is in that picture. I don't know if you can.
Of course, yep.
On him, and Bev Streck.
Remember.
And I went and I sat in the theater before the show started right next to your mom, and she knew about the program. I didn't know about the program, so I don't know if you remember this, but
of course I do.
Thumbing through the program, and all of a sudden I noticed your mom kind of staring at me. And, all right, well, and I'm reading, it's Jimmy's bio, and I start going through your bio, and here you had left this lovely sentiment about Carolyn and me, and I could feel a tear coming down my cheek, and your mom got quite a kick out of that. And I've always been so moved by your graciousness there. And this,
well, it needs to be. You need to know. This
program takes a special place in my house. Believe me, it means a lot.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bill. I couldn't tell you too much. It's just the truth. What a wonderful place you are, and Country Gate was, like, truly. Well, I'm so lucky. I'm the luckiest kid in the world with the way my parents treated me, and then this is another example of something they gave me, and it happens to be a wonderful man and his wife and his family that I all appreciate and love.
Thank you.
And you guys, like, Country Gate is the family. It's the extended family.
The family.
Definitely.
It feels like forever connections. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about, I read this, I'm not sure if this is, true or not, so I'm going right to the source, that
sure.
you had a possibility of doing a Die Hard movie during this time period, and you weren't able to do it because of the play. Is that true?
Yeah. I was I got into a Die Hard movie. I was so psyched. And it was the too smart computer hacker, and he was, sidekick to Timothy Oliphant. And we shot one day, and the thing was, it was just such a wonderful time. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I got Farnsworth, and then I got Die Hard. Mm-hmm. And what they realized is, oh, the dates work out. You'll be done with Die Hard by like a month before rehearsals start. And so I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing a Aaron Sorkin play, and I get to be in one of my favorite franchises. And we got, like, after the first couple of days of filming, we got a message saying, the schedules have changed. Somebody wants to extend a vacation or something. I can't remember the specifics of it, but it's going to push us all like a month and a half. And And then I said, wait, that would like cut 2 weeks out of rehearsal. And if, you know, if you're going to do a play right, the lead guy can't be out of 2 weeks of rehearsal. And
Right.
so I was like, oh no, what's happening here? And they put it to, the movie said, well, you know, but you said this and we agreed to do this. And they were just like, so we got him. And I just, I think my agent said, like, I mean, do you want to just do the movie, right? And I was like, well, I want to do the play more. And so I think I want to do, I don't think I want to do the movie. And so he brought it up to them and they said, but then we're going to like sue you for any worked hours or anything.
Oh,
And then we still did it. And that's the great thing about having a good team is like, when you say, this is what I believe in, you know, they listen to you and help you do that, not just listen. And so that's what they did. And then the next thing I knew, yes, they had to collect the money back for the day I worked, but like, and for maybe a couple days of filming that they need to find someone, but Aaron Sorkin was going to cover that for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
very nice.
Great.
Yeah. So, you know, always go with the play.
Well, I know we're glad you went with the play. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's a lot. But you also can't second guess because you make so many decisions in this weird career that's like, if this happens, this might happen. If this happens, and it's just, I think what defines like part of the hard part of this element of the business is how much you can deal with that. How much you can deal with making bad decisions and still picking yourself up. If you had picked this other thing, look at what happened to that. I did this and this did this, and still be like, I'm gonna keep going, being told no 99 times out of 100 at least. It's just constant. You're not good enough in a town that's, you know, advertising hotness and like what's cool, and it's just like it comes at you, and that's easily the most arduous part of the job. And it doesn't hurt anymore. Just like chronic pain, you kind of forget about it. But sometimes you see other people like just through like a window of like, oh, that's their job is done. They know what they're doing for the next 5 years. Well, nobody does right now, but just in general,
Right.
that feeling of like, this is my life and I make this beautiful, as opposed to always like, oh, I gotta keep figuring out how to get by at the life I've chosen, is like it's a large element, and it's you know, it's the most taxing thing. It's like I get to do what I want like this much of the time, and so that might be why I take it so seriously and try to throw my back into it. You know, I fail sometimes, probably too
Very
often.
often, I don't think.
No, not very often.
But yeah, it's a trip. It's not as comfortable as Country Gate feels. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's an inclusive nature. Like, we'll find something for you. You know what I mean? Because you want it. You want it, and we want. That's what's great about theater. You want it, and so like let's all be a community. And here it's just like only 3 people get it. Yeah, not you this time.
Oh.
But it's all kind of part of it, and you know, it always keeps you on your toes. Keeps you. You have to be hopeful. You have to be kind of excited because it's like a muscle of like, okay, who cares? Let's do it.
Yep.
And in a time like this, you know, getting around with friends, trying to see if you could fabricate your own work, and you can't really do. You know, you can't do live theater. So I don't know. You know, I just met with my buddy today to talk about. Okay, well, like, let's just make a short about this thing that's been on my mind, and we'll just use the craft, and you can use your lensing, directing craft. I'll see what I can figure out now. Nobody's looking at it, and so
That's
you know,
good.
just
That's really
find
good.
a way to stretch yourself.
Yeah.
like you guys are doing. I mean, this is wonderful.
Kind of like we're doing, yeah.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun doing
They're
this.
my family. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
That's
oh
my
god.
family. Always. They make
Joanne
me
was going
laugh.
to ask you about another show, right?
Oh, sure.
Yes. So a few years ago, you played the title role in a play called Trevor by Nick Jones and directed by Stella Powell Jones. And what our viewers may not know is that Trevor is a chimpanzee,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So tell us about what drew you to Trevor. Like why did you want to play a chimpanzee, and I guess how did you prepare for it? Because I've played animals before. I'm usually a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Been a dog twice, so it's hard to not have words. You just are using like facial expressions and things like that. You had to be the chimpanzee. So
I did.
did you
I
enjoy
did.
it? Did you like? Was it?
Immensely. I
Yeah.
had sorry, what?
It's fun. That's fun. It's just fun to be like a character like that. I love.
Yeah.
Like
It's
that.
like it's like doing an absurdist play. You know, it's you know what your intentions are, but it's not at all a normal human way to convey them.
Right.
And so, you know, the boundaries are unlimited. You can express yourself however. My friend Justine had given me that play because the playwright Nick, I think he said to pass it on to me, and I didn't realize he wanted me to be in it, so I didn't read it right away. And so I read it a month later, and I just wrote, I was like, hey, I read your play. I just, wherever you put that up, I'll be the first one to get a ticket. And he's like, no, I want you to do the guy. I want you to be the guy. It's like, oh. And so and I had just done House of Cards. And so I was supposed to have like kind of a hot pilot season because I finally had a TV credit that a bunch of people had watched. And I, again, asked my agents, I said, this overlaps pilot seasons, pull me out of getting a TV show. It's being done at a 99 seat theater and no one's making any money. But I believe in this play. And they're like, oh man, send it to me. And then they read it. They're like, it's good. You're totally going to do this. And so then I said, well, can you, like the theater didn't have access to like the working actors in town. And so I said, can you pass this around? And then Laurie Metcalf got her mitts on it and blessedly fell for it. And I'm a huge fan of hers. And what drew us both to the play is Nick came up with this brilliant concept of, Trevor, there's any kind of chimp that you see, usually on film, they're adolescent, because when they mature, they become too aggressive and unpredictable and violent. And so I'm sure you've heard of horror stories, but Americans like to adopt these grown chimps and say, oh, I can take care of the chimp. And sometimes it goes horribly wrong, but this is a practice. And so he's talking about that. A couple years before, Travis was a chimp who had attacked a woman who had showed up at her friend's house. And so Trevor was about a chimp who was a showbiz chimp who's now been adopted by a human mom who believes he's going to be discovered any minute now and believes that his second big break is finally going to be here. And so Nick starts to play with they're talking, I speak, but I'm speaking my thoughts, my coherent thoughts. She's speaking her coherent thoughts, but we can't understand each other. So she's like, hey, I'll go like this, oh, the guys, my new agent's coming. And she's like, you excited about getting dinner, honey? Yeah. And then pass me that fork. And then I give her a saucepan. And so the audience is keyed in at the top. To be a great play for Country Gate. It gets a little dark, but so the audience is keyed in that they actually are not making communication. And so you get to watch oh my God, because they're so close sometimes. And then the play is about Trevor has driven, before the play starts, he's driven his mom's car around in circles and messed up the yard of the neighbor. And so animal control has to come. And so Lori's warning me that animal control is coming, and this is the play. And I think she's telling me this big agent is coming. So I'm getting so excited, and I need to be containing, and then it kind of explodes. But the whole thing of being a monkey was actually really therapeutic, because I'd had a motorcycle wreck. This is all titanium here.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, my clavicle exploded into like 7 pieces. And so my top half was immobile for about 7 months. And I needed 2 surgeries because the bones weren't healing. And so I get this play, and I'm like, I want to really use my body. And I got a CAT scan done, assuring that the bones were all healed. And then I had to retrain because I had been completely unfit. And I started walking up hills like a chimp and going to the LA Zoo and just staring at them and recording them. And you feel bad because they're so close to us in DNA speaking. They're so close to our awareness of being looked at, of being judged, of all of these things. They're right there. And when you spend enough time, you see how human they are. And so, and I had this great story of this chimp named Oliver, who was exploited in like the 60s. And so I just immersed myself in the experience of being a chimpanzee. And I had a wonderful gait. And so I only moved like a chimp in the play. And it was my first time ever of like full immersion into like physical transformation for 2 hours, which, I hope to do it again. You've done it twice. That's
I was Toto in the Wizard of Oz. And it's funny that you said that, because Gina came to me and she said, I didn't see you at auditions for Wizard of Oz. And I said, oh, no, I wasn't there. And I thought, usually I'm like the fairy godmother or something like that. And she said, I want you to be Toto. I'm like, the dog? She said, yeah, the dog. I'm like, okay. I didn't have a script. I just walked around and followed Dorothy, and that was it. So
I bet you were adorable and outstanding.
I had the best time. It is so fun to play a part like that. It is just so fun. So I get you as far as playing the chimpanzee. I get that. So yeah.
Yeah, man.
So great.
No,
Great.
Joanne was fantastic. She was just, you're right, beautiful, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great to pull on Lori's brain and have her tell me the Steppenwolf stories, and she's another one of those folks that turns out like she's more down to earth than most people not in this business. Like, she literally feels like she was pulled out of the Midwest in a perfect, nothing has made her Hollywood. Nothing has she's so humble, even though she's the most brilliant one on any stage.
She's great.
She's a darling.
Yeah, I think she's kind of like you in some ways, because people mostly know her from some of the stuff she's done on television.
Sure.
She's done so much more than that, and
Oh yeah,
she's always very, very good, really good.
I was so looking forward to seeing her Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Right.
But that got slayed.
Well, since I'm going to just jump to that now, because I don't want to keep you forever. But I heard you on another interview. Somebody asked you what your dream bucket list role was.
Yes.
And I think you said it was.
It's George
Wolf, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. That guy. And it's that nostalgia of the thing that kind of changed you, that kind of turned you into like, oh, I want to do that. If that's a thing, I'd like to do that. And it was Richard Burton in Who's Afraid, in Beckett, in The Spy Who Came in from the Cold. Mostly Who's Afraid, though. That's a movie I've seen, and I think it's not a pleasant movie, but it's so good to me that I've watched it 100 times. It's such and I've seen maybe 3 productions of the play. And gosh, Mike Nichols he really does. He's just knocked it out of the park. I mean, how often does a play come so to life on screen?
In fact, it was on Turner Classic Movies today, and I couldn't help myself but I've seen it so many times, but I did watch it, part of it, because it's
good, better, best, bested.
Well, Jimmy, that back in 2001, Country Gay Players did Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and these two characters here were Nick.
You guys were George and Mark.
They were Nick and Honey. They were.
Oh,
okay.
I was
gonna say
younger then.
I thought it was. Well, that's amazing. You guys would have been perfect.
And
Well, George and Sandy are just, they're impeccable. But you guys, oh my God, I could totally see you guys shining. Who was George and Martha? Were you George?
No, Bill Nutt. Do you remember Bill Nutt and Debbie Lockwood?
Yes. Oh, amazing.
And
amazing.
Yeah, Lockwood. Yeah.
I wish I was aware, because I was already aware of the play by then.
Great.
It was. I think it was my favorite. When you would say that, like that, to me, when someone would ask me like what I'm proud of, that would be one.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes, very proud of that production. I am too.
Got so much stuff for you both to do. Oh gosh, we all peel the labels, and then you get to have the dawning of the what the heck is happening here. Oh man, it's such a good play.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So
you would be great as George.
Oh, you're very correct.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
I can see it.
We'll see. I mean, I'm working towards it. So, did you have to get approval from the Albee estate?
No, that was just through Samuel French. I think it was just a regular. It was 2001, so I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it's
okay.
I think he was still alive then, wasn't he?
Yes.
Albee?
Yes.
Okay. The thing that I was from my one friend who did it, but he was always said like, I had to get approved by Albee. He won't let anybody. But it always sounded like maybe he was making it up. But it stuck in my ears like, oh my God, Edward Albee has to. Or his estate has to approve of each actor. Oh my God, how can I pull this off? But to know that you can do the play through Samuel French, okay, that's great.
Well, it was that, and maybe because it was an amateur production, maybe that was different. I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, and then also in that same interview, I heard the guy asked you who your dream Martha would be, and do you remember what you said?
No.
Laurie Metcalf.
oh yeah. Yes. Well, I say that. I think I said, like, I know George is a little younger, but I think if she played Martha, I wouldn't mind stepping in and then having her seduce me for the climax of the play.
I think all three of us would be in line for tickets for that. That would be.
Yeah, we would.
We'll get you in as George then, Vinny.
I'm ready. All
right. Work on your jerk. Okay? Work on being a jerk because you're too kind, General.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I have to work at it too much.
Yeah, right.
Can you just give us a quick little moment on Empathotrax? That's the one play that none of the three of us were really very familiar with. I watched a couple of scenes on the internet, and it looked fantastic. It looked really, really great. And you played him, and the gal played her, and it looked very interesting.
Yeah, it's a wonderful play, and I really expected to see more life post when we did it. It's about it's kind of Charlie Kaufman-y in its, kind of high concept, and it starts, and there's a couple talking about their issues. She's got managed depression, and a delivery guy comes up, like a Charlie Dalrymple type, and he says, he's like, this is what the drug does. It allows you to feel each other's feelings, like literally, not like be told about it, and that it's just you. If she feels sad, you're going to feel exactly and why. When you touch each other, you can feel both touches, and it's a way to heal a relationship that's in trouble. And so he leaves us with the drug, and then we start trying it. And of course, at first, it's like kids in a candy shop. Oh my God, tell me about this. Or what's this? Oh, think about that so I can feel that. And so we're just reveling in it. And then the realities of the depression start to kind of rise up because she's been going off her meds to allow for this. And so she becomes, kind of immersed in a full depressive episode. And it's lasting, and he's feeling it. And so then it becomes about depression too. And like, imagine what it would be like someone who doesn't have that, experiencing it unbridled through their partner, who depressives like, they're that's kind of a sign of that state of mind, is you're comfortable if other people are feeling that way. And so she starts kind of drawing him in, is so happy there's someone there to share her depression with her, and it just kills him. Not literally, but then they make it through. So it's just this wonderful exploration of couplehood, of mental health, and like the possibility, like the fantasy of what if we could literally see each other's like dreams and fantasies, and dark side too. But just a killer of a three-hander, because the delivery guy keeps coming back to kind of monitor them and then take it home.
It looked really, really interesting. It looked
That
like
sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked like a play that I would love to have Gina get a hold of that as a director, because I think she would do a great job with it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me see who I'm still in touch with that maybe, because I probably have a copy I could share, but then, before you do it, you got to find out, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, for a read, I can share the copy. So I'll send it over.
That would be great. That would,
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
thank you. All right. So I don't want to keep you too long, Jimmy. And
No,
I
you're so good.
appreciate what you're doing.
We're just
I think
hanging out in the
Joanne
diner, you
will
guys.
show you a DVD cover, right?
So I would like to know your feeling about this. This is my kids' favorite movie. Well, they're grown now, but
Yes.
Loved your character, loved Crash, loved him. Did you enjoy that? Like, what was it like? Like, if between like doing a movie and
Well, that was pretty early on. The reason that happened is because I'd done a very independent film that I just thought was cool called Debs by director Angela Robinson.
Sure.
Mhm. I've seen that. That was good.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Angela's, she's a great director. She came up with that concept, did a short of it, and then someone said, "Let me help you make a movie." And we really clicked. She's a great person. And so when 2 years later, she got this big opportunity to direct a big tentpole film. She said, you have to impress, you have to come in audition, but I'm pulling for you, which is always helpful. And so I got the little part, and I was so tickled. My favorite thing about that, besides getting work with Angela, was there's a scene that's cut, but it was me and Lindsay's like drive team kind of arguing with each other. We're just kind of improvising some stuff, cutting each other down. And the director said, Michael Keaton's in the movie. And she said, Michael Keaton came to the monitor to see what was happening. He was watching me do these bits. And that he said to Angela, "Who's that guy?" She's like, "Oh, it's Jimmi Simpson. He's good." And I was just like, what? So, no enthusiasm at all, but he said the words. And so That was like, because he's one of those actors. It's like, I feel like are you my dad? Like, why do I look up to you so much? Like, I just kind of worship him.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But that was like one moment, because the business is so, this is happening. It took me a few years to feel not like a complete outsider. Like, I'm not this. So when I go to do my job, I still feel like all the forces of the biz and everything is just too flashy, too, it doesn't feel natural. And so I was always uncomfortable. And I wasn't able to perform well, I didn't think, because I'm just kind of closed in by like, this doesn't feel right. I don't think I should be here. I don't think I should be here. And it took a good 5-10 years for that to wear off, because it's just a different world out here. And I think, my performance in Herbie is like half fear of doing anything wrong. How else are you supposed to do it? You can't show up and be like, I'm great. So I showed up, and for like 7 years was like, is this okay? Is this okay? I do it like this, if I go like this. And it took me a while to feel at all like I belonged on a set, to be honest. And so it's a great memory. But as far as like the craft of what I was offering, I can't speak too highly of it.
It's funny. We do stage plays is what we do, but a few years ago, we attempted a web series, which was our first attempt at actually doing anything on film. And we didn't really know what we were doing, but for sure,
we didn't.
The whole idea of, the big gestures on stage were not working on our web series. So we said, wait a minute, this does not look right. So we may try it again sometime. Maybe we'll be better. But
I'd love to give that another try. Yeah, I've watched it, and I felt a little broad, just a bit, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I can't imagine it. Well, I think definitely keep doing it, because I personally believe it's the same soul creating this output. But I do think you're switching lenses between theater and film. And, as you know, it's just like you got the back row in theater and film. You don't want anything past this to seem forced. And so you go through the processes of if you see something that's felt too broad, you go back and think, well, what if I thought that? What if it's not the visual sight gag? What if it's the emotional intention that I was trying to evoke through this? And so instead of you're like, it's like,
wow.
It's just like make it not big, make it specific. Does that make sense?
Wow.
So if you have the idea, it's like, this is like, oh, that's a big surprise, or like it puts me off, or I like it, but just if you make it more specific, sometimes it helps, I think.
Yeah, that's good advice. And we may try.
Yeah, it is.
We learned a lot doing it, that's for sure.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I think I tell when younger folks say like, tell me about your training. I'm like, well, it's, Country Gate. It's a couple years of school, but most of it, when I'm talking about film and TVs, is there was 3 years after Williamstown where Charlie and I couldn't get arrested on film. And so we just made movies for ourselves. And he can be one of the biggest theatrical performers, but just seeing how he kind of reined it in, and then I would kind of take cues off him, and he would take some cues off me, but I would take way more cues off him of like what works. And we just sit there and watch it together. And it was also before YouTube, so there wasn't even a pressure of like, is this good enough? No one was seeing it. Nobody was going to see it besides our friends that we brought over and got them drunk first so they would laugh more. So it's, I look back on the time of Charlie and I just trying out stupid stuff to make each other laugh with a camera as the greatest like training I've ever had. You know, it's just watching yourself do it. Does it work or doesn't it work? With film, you can see.
Right.
Like you can't film yourself doing a play and say, does it work or doesn't work? Because you don't know what it's like to actually be live there. That's what the experience is. But with this experience, it is recorded. So it's done. You don't have to feel bad. There's no nerves. It's already in the can. No, not good enough. Get back up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, Jimmy. That's really, that's good.
Well, words from a dim person. So take them with a grain of salt, please.
Vinny, you were going to ask Jimmy about Breakout Kings, right?
Yes, I was. I watched it because you were in it, but I loved it. I just, I remember when it became available, after watching it first run, when the DVD became available, I bought it and enjoyed the second season too, but that never came out on DVD. That made me sad.
Didn't
I
it?
liked the second season as much as the first. I never found it on DVD.
I think it went to Netflix. I wonder if it's still on there. I'll take a look.
I believe it is. I thought I saw it on Netflix. Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to watch the second season again. I've watched this one a couple of times.
Oh man, I thought that show was pretty wonderful too. Not just because they're the first ones to give me a job of that caliber, but it was also a heck of a show. It was a heck of a show.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I think it was like if it came out now with all of the content that's available on like Netflix and stuff, it would find that audience. But at the time, it was A&E. Most people were watching Duck Dynasty on A&E, and you know, and like the quirky cop drama hadn't really been the mainstay it is. And Lloyd Lowry was a hilarious.
What a great
talk about huge engine and broken machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big pain, big troubles. Yeah.
Yeah. That was just another thing I'm just so grateful for. Was
that your first series that you did? Was that the first series you did?
That was the first series I was a regular on.
Oh, okay.
Nick Santora, who created the show with Matt Olmstead. Nick Santora was a fan of mine on Sunny. Nick loves It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and watches it every night before he goes to bed. And then, you know, I don't know if he brought me in because of that, but when I got in there, he's just like, oh, the McPoyle. And it's just, you know, and that's the thing. It's just, actors, they're always like, well, how do I get to do this? I'm like, you know, work on what your strong suit. Like I couldn't have started doing Westworld. I wouldn't have known if I didn't spend a good 10 years saying, you need somebody weird and awkward. That's something I know I've done. It's something I know I can do. And that's something I could actually feel like I'm kind of excelling. So I just kept, you know, I worked with what I had and I developed that. And it's not bad to focus on what you're good at. And I remember like I got that audition and I'm like, it's like a funny fart joke with the audition. I'm going to be the funniest, most intellectual take on this fart joke. and I worked on it with my buddy Steve Rosen. It was in Farnsworth. And after we ran it, he's like, you're going to get this. The way you sold that fart joke. Like no one's going to sell that fart joke like that. And so my career started with a fart joke, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like it's just about making the most of whatever the situation is.
Sure. Yeah, that's
if
great.
You can.
I don't want to go too far without asking you about Twilight Zone. I mean, that's what everybody's talking about right now, and all three of us.
Oh, fantastic!
Thought it was amazing.
Oh yeah.
And you're playing this guy, Phil Hayes, who is like, he's got very high expectations, right? But very kind of low satisfaction rate and not happy with himself.
Yeah.
Is that about how you saw him?
Absolutely. More not happy with everyone around him. and the world. The truth is, of course, he's unhappy with himself, but he's one of those guys that manifests itself by him saying, why did this happen? Why are you like this? Why are you like this? Why is the world like this? Instead of going like, oh, bro, it's you. And so that guy, of course, expects the perfect girl, and accidentally opens up a gateway to the Twilight Zone, wherein it's one of those worlds where the Twilight Zone says, what if this happened? And get to explore a love connection. I got to play everything, within the scope of it.
Yeah, and the writing was great, and it really was true to the classic Twilight Zone type of episode. I thought it was just.
Oh yeah,
I thought so too. Yeah, Sarah and Emily, the two girls that I went on dates with in the episode are the two writers.
Oh really?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Which was really cool. Yeah, they knocked it out of the park, and it did feel like pretty classic.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone to me.
Well, and the thing that just blew me away was the fact that you're hearing this voice in your head, that your character is hearing this voice in your head, and as an actor, you're reacting physically, facially, emotionally, and we were talking about the other night is when we're on stage, sometimes we'll have to take a telephone call, and to make the telephone call credible, we have to kind of hear as an actor, we have to hear what's going on the other end of the telephone.
Absolutely.
We have to hear that in order to respond credibly. But our phone call, and we all have had that, but there's a minute or two, you had to do it for a whole episode.
Yeah. That's a long time.
How did you do that, Jimmy?
Well, it's just doing that. There were some parts where it worked to have an actress read the lines, but more often than not, the flow of the room or just the flow of the action, it's not about outside influence. It's about in his head. So I just memorized the scene, the full scene, and like waiting and on the telephone call, except I'm also not responding out loud. So I know the line, so I'll say the line in my head, and I just won't move my lips, and then I hear what she's saying, but I know exactly what she's saying, so I can play it. So it's just that suspension of disbelief where you just feed yourself information by information one at a time, and you react to it in the moment. So my brain hurt at the end of each day.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It was, and I loved it so much. It's just one of those things where it's just like, I need to sit in the dark for 45 minutes.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly came across beautifully, and.
Oh yeah.
No, everything I'm like, oh God, I would do that so much better if I could have seen it first. But yeah, it's a pretty great Twilight Zone episode. Yeah. And the director, Matthias Herndl, knocked it out of the park, I think, especially it's visually so impressive.
Oh yeah.
And he was his own DP too, so you don't really see that often. I think Soderbergh does that, but and picks every shot, decides how the whole entire story is going to come out, both narratively and visually. So his head must have been pounding at the end of the day. Two extremely demanding jobs in one.
Sure. All right, I'm just going to jump here. We had this whole thing planned out. I'm taking way too long with it, but I wanted to
you're good.
ask you of all the parts that you've done, and you've done so many over. How long have you been at it now? Like, is it 20 years you've been doing that?
Yeah, I decided. I went to Williamstown in '98, and then I've been working since maybe 2000. I did Loser in 2000.
Loser, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Loser.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Loser. Yeah.
I mean, you've done some great parts. You've done comedy, and you've done great drama. Do you have a favorite of everything that you've done, or a favorite or two?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to love about all of them, but I guess if it's like completely selfishly, what work am I proudest of?
Yeah.
Like craft wise, it's probably split between Westworld and Young William in season 1, and a character called Soldier. I did it for a series called Happen Leonard.
Oh, Happen Leonard. Yeah.
That was on
Sundance. Right?
yeah, Sundance. And because it's two opposites. Like, I mean, William does go to an extreme point, but he's so contained. He's so honest. He's so present, and he's so potentially loving. There's, him in the first 8 episodes. There's almost no, sociopathic tendencies, because a lot of characters I play, it comes out eventually. Like, okay, here's the crazy. But Happen Leonard, it's just unbridled madness, and it's just one of those things. I just done Trevor, and I was just going for broke as far as like I took the cork out, and so I was making choices that in different states of my life I probably wouldn't have made. They were like emboldened by my run on Trevor and my belief in my own choices, and I just love how me I got. Like, I really got to make it what I wanted it to be, and then Jim Mickle, the director, cut it and captured it all perfectly, and it's a thing, and it's also the thing that least people have seen probably. So when someone says, "What's up, soldier?" I'm like, "You're one of the 3 that watched." But of course, that's also just film. Like, my theatrical experiences are even like Trevor is greater than both of those combined. And that, again, that was in a 99 seat theater, or maybe like 80.
Yeah.
Crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah.
All right. We wanted to know, Joanne, were you going to ask him about future projects, or? I'm jumping around. I'm throwing them a curve.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
You guys got like a 8-page spreadsheet over there?
Yeah. So, have any, like Bill said, any new projects coming up?
Yes.
Like I mean, because
Yeah, I have some stuff. There's a little tinge from COVID. Just because there is a bunch of things that should be already happening that that aren't really happening right now. Sorry, one second. But so, like, what we should be gearing up for now is a little picture on Watergate, like a limited series on Watergate, with some great actors, Woody Harrelson, and they're going over the plumbers. It's basically the plumbers and the guys who actually planned the break-in, and then I'll play John Dean. I don't know if you remember the trial. Yeah. Yep. And so, you just don't know when that's happening yet, because the whole industry is figuring out, like, Jurassic Park spent $5 million on COVID preparation to go back to filming. And so obviously that's a prohibitively high number. So everybody's figuring out what is their number? How can we make it work? How long do we have to wait? Because the industry also doesn't want to be the start of any kind of spike. So they're being extra cautious, more cautious than a lot of industries I know. of like, we're not going to be the source.
Yeah.
And I have a real, I don't know if it's released yet, but I actually got cast in a cool little horror movie during COVID. But I don't know if they've released it yet, so I probably can't describe it too much. But you know, there's stuff that's ready. It's just when the world says we can is when we'll do it.
Right.
And for instance, there's a movie, I did a couple of movies that are just kind of waiting to come out. I did one movie called The Silk Road about that internet site, The Silk Road, that was going to premiere at Tribeca, that got canned because of COVID. Did this Russell Crowe movie called Unhinged.
Oh, what a great trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's trying to come out. But it's right now, it's just a theatrical release. So if they made it online, if like a VOD situation, I think it would clean up. But so far, I've only heard them doing theatrical release. So because of that, they keep pushing and pushing and pushing. It was supposed to come out a month and a half ago. Then they moved it to June, they moved it to July, and I just saw it's August 22nd. And so if you get another spike, that'll push again.
Yeah.
But that's, you just drop yourself in the barrel of Russell Crowe acting his butt off, man. You know, he's just never, he just doesn't disappoint. Well, and I don't know much about whatever his life is like, but on film, he's commanding and inventive. And my scene with him is a long 5-minute scene, just sitting down talking to him at a diner. And that was about the scariest thing I ever sat in for. You know, just like Russell Crowe, and just you flash through all of like, no, my mind, like every role he's ever done, and you're like, that guy's sitting across from me, and I have to somehow live up to his natural expectations that the people he's acting with aren't gonna suck. And so, oh man, I prepare a lot anyway, but it's just I was ready for him, and we got along really well, and we ended up, you know, chatting very easily, and he was really easy to hang out with.
That's great.
Cool.
That's great to know, because I mean, I feel the same way. You see that guy on screen and you wonder what's going on in there. And you know, the fact that you were able to work fairly with him, that's good to know that. Yeah.
It's like
he's great.
Yeah, if you just give people the respect they're due, they're going to be, you know, especially, you know, I might not ever feel like, oh, I'm an actor, but a lot of people do, and it's fine. And like, you know, if someone wants you to call him sir because they were called sir, call him sir. It's not a big deal, you know. And with Russ, I just made sure he knew that I was there for him. You know, I'm here to serve his movie, to serve this scene, and we just hit it right off then.
That's great.
Yeah.
We're going to start to wind this down, Jimmy, but I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about COVID, because, you know, we kind of have talked about it. And it's impacted the Country Gate Playhouse directly, because we're now closed.
Yeah.
And we just recently announced that our whole 2020 season has been postponed and rescheduled for 2021. Where do you think this is all going, especially in terms of live theater, in terms of the big picture? Have any thoughts on that?
Well, you know, it's tough, because again, you don't want to make it political, but on the other hand, there's a cohesion in almost every other part of the world that has led to an active, participating decline in what we see always kind of staying the same or getting worse. And so that's, I think, the first thing that needs to happen is it needs to be okay to wear masks in America. It needs to be understood that whatever the percentage is that it helps is enough, because it's a percentage, it's fact. There needs to be things like the mass gatherings that happen, they just don't do it. Like my friends are going back up to Canada to start filming because Canada is safe. And so because they're, when someone comes into Canada, they're quarantined, they can't get out of their house for 2 weeks. And it seems extreme, but they're also the ones who have kind of done okay. So, so the first 4 months of it's not a big deal is why 2020 is gone, I think. And so we can either come to terms with that as a whole. We weren't guided correctly. We need to self-guide and take it upon ourselves, if our leaders can't, to help the country get rid of this virus. Just through, yes, we all have to suffer, wear a mask, don't go out as much, all that stuff. My dad's 85 and is high risk out of everything. And he hasn't been able to leave his house in 7 months. And it's just like, it's horrible, but we got to do it. Yeah. And so in the meantime, I can't, I'm the dumbest person on this Zoom call. So I can't speculate as to like how we're going to get it together, but it is about, sadly, accepting it. And so it's maybe for Countrygate, maybe it's about building a base of content, whether it's come up with some plays that might actually work, and you could start and just make it free the first couple of times, because what the hell do we know? We don't know if it's entertaining, but we're going to try it and just keep the community together and invested. And then the third time, maybe we start getting a handle on it, and it's like, if you can offer a ticket price, that stuff's pretty easy to do. But I think it's about rolling with it. Personally, for the first 4 months, I went like this, and I was I'm sure if I held my breath, things would be normal again. And what I've realized is it's just, yeah, things will be normal again to a degree, but we can't wait for it, And live theater is just the saddest part of it, man. It's just because that's what it is. It has to be that to be what we love. So how can we bring people that experience? Because there is an element of, it's not just the suspension of disbelief on a play where you sit there and you imagine a black box as anything, but it's just the falling for the words and the story, and falling for that moment of live time where anything could happen. So if it's like a live showing of, people want that. You don't break character at all. You present the play in 4 pieces. I don't know which Mammoth play that is or something, but it's just, and you keep the arts active somehow that way.
Find a way to do it. That makes a lot of sense. It does.
I mean, I don't know. What the heck do I know, you guys? But community is essential, and a lot of people aren't naturally inclined to go like, how do I make connections when I can't make the normal connections I make by going out? So every time someone said, hey, do you want to join this trivia night? I'm like, yes, please. Something. I'm going to play Mafia? I'm like, yes. So you put together a little something, and then you send people out, hey, here's a thing you could do Friday night instead of going out. And keep people, activated.
Well, and you're right. And that's what we're kind of trying to do, at least on some level, with Jersey Diner. And we've got some other things we're going to try out too.
Would you like a warmer?
Yes, please.
Okay, here you go.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get ready to say goodnight to Jimmy, but I'm gonna ask Vinny and Joanne if you have any last things you want to touch base with him about think about that. I'm just going to make a little appeal to the viewers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The same content. We are closed, and obviously we're not able to sell any tickets, any shows right now, and yet our expenses to a certain extent are continuing in terms of insurance premiums and utilities and other ongoing expenses. So we are, asking if anyone out there is in a position to help us, we would very much appreciate it. Obviously, if you've been hurt physically or financially yourself by the COVID-19, obviously our hearts are with you and your families. But if you are fortunate enough to be in a position to help, anything that you do would be certainly appreciated. And we also, as we do every episode, we want to, thank the healthcare workers and the essential workers who are out there on the front lines every day, risking their own health, really, for the benefit of the community. Gosh, we can't thank you folks enough. So
Thank you. Yes.
yes, thanks to all of you. Okay, so that's my pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vinny, you have any last thoughts for Jimmy?
I have two.
Okay.
First, I did want to mention, and I just two. Big. No. Lyle the Intern.
Yeah.
I loved those, and I have to tell you, last night around like 2 a.m. because I kind of stay up all night. I found on YouTube all 17 of them, and I watched them, and I laughed for an hour. It still holds up, and so, some of the abuse that you gave David Letterman was just fantastic.
Crazy.
So I wanted to mention I love those. I was curious how much of that was scripted or improv or cue cards, or I kind of wondered about the genesis of those sketches.
The genesis is definitely Eric and Justin Stengel, who were the head writers on The Late Show at the time, who had conceived of an idea of a loudmouthed intern, and then happened to be walking by the Farnsworth Invention poster, and we're like, that's that off-putting guy from Sunny. Let's bring him in. So they had the idea, saw me, thought I was off-putting enough, and I went in, and that first one was like, I had no idea what was happening. I memorized the script perfectly. There's no run through with David beforehand. And so after the top 10, they just shoved me onto the stage, and I sat down and plopped in and just tried to I tried to not be as terrified as I was. And then he just got a kick out of it. And I could see him, like, he just started like enjoying himself. And then he started like, I said something a certain way. I extended like a consonant or something, or a vowel. And he's like, what was that? What was that you just said there? And I just repeated the sound to him, and he got such a kick out of it. And then he just started kind of riffing on and off. And he would be delighted by his own thoughts, and he would just send them out there, and I just would have to respond with something. But he got such a kick out of it that he didn't want it to be just a one-time thing. And so he kept asking for me, and the Stengel brothers would write the script, and eventually they thought I was funny enough that they would write the script, and then they would send it to me, and then I could add some things on, and then they would send it to Dave, and he would have the last call, and he would add the weirdest stuff. And then we would get in front of the live studio audience, and then, still he would come up with his own stuff all the time. So it was trying to prep the beautiful material, but also be ready for whatever David Letterman was going to say to me. And yeah, it was just a treat, just a treat. Being able to and then just building a bond with Paul. I don't remember why I called out to him at first, but then I just tried to always throw him a little something as I was leaving, because it's Paul. I've been watching these people for 30 years, and now I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what would I hope someone would say to Paul? You know, sweet book, Paul. Love those sounds, Paul.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and that's the
they were great.
Don Geller, I think, is Gilman, who compiles everything Letterman has ever done. And so, if you want to see all Letterman with Kaufman stuff, Don has that on his YouTube. If you want to see all of him with Will Ferrell, if you want to see all the Lyle, so a guy made that, and it's just like, it's a great resource because I didn't have half of those.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's a great one.
Great.
Oh, so much fun. So funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my other question was, I was curious about I'm an autograph collector.
Okay.
Like I always like to, when I see a show and I go to autograph shows and everything. In fact, someday.
I would be honored. I would be honored to be in your collection.
The gem of my collection.
Yes, sir.
But my curiosity is, do you get recognized out a lot? Like, do you get, like, I'm sure, like at red carpets and things, they always have the autograph sellers, and so you sign there. But like, I was just curious, on the street, people come up and you do a selfie or you sign a thing, or I was just curious about that in general with you.
Yeah, but it's certainly not a thing that's like I'm attracting cameras or anything at all. It's what it tends to be is people that have liked a performance. So like a lot of Westworld, so many people want pictures with me for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, more than anything. Like, I get bought milk by strangers, and people dress up as me. But it's also, I'm not, and I hope I've never given out an impression. I don't think of myself as any kind of a celebrity. I'm a working actor. I don't ever want to be anything more than a working actor. And so there's nothing intimidating about me. If you look at me, I'll probably smile back at you. And so you'll feel comfortable, be like, oh, I'd like to capture this moment. And I think, that's if you could add a little something for someone to show their friends, be like, look at this cool thing. It's not a hassle. Some actors act like that they're really being put out to stop for a selfie, and I don't really get it. It's not always convenient, but how would you feel? How would you feel? And so, yeah, if I saw Richard Burton when he was alive, it's like, sir, your work is impeccable. Can I get a selfie, a future selfie? Gosh, I hope you'd be like, all right, come here, son. Elizabeth, hold on.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Joanne, any closing thoughts?
Just, I guess a little, there's a lot of young people out there want to start in the business. Stuff. And any advice you could give to them, how they should, get started, or, keep grounded while anything, any advice you can give them? Even older people that want to get into it.
I would say keep grounded and get started.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true. How to keep grounded is, well, you just know that things were going to try to pull you out into your own head. Choose before that happens to stay you, to know that you will never, no matter what thing you get mixed into, maybe you get a big show, you're not now somehow a different person unless you choose to fly it off and be a different person. Be the human that your parents raised, if they raised you well. Just it's a craft. It's not another realm of existence. And I think to get started is either do plays, which you can't really right now, but that's always what I tell everybody is do a play. Yeah, but who's going to see that? Who cares? You get to do a play. and you get to work on this craft. And you got to find the joy in the craft. You can't look at the results. You can't, it looks like a results-based industry, but it's not. That just happens, but the work is the craft. And so if you're always going like, I'll do this role well, but I hope I'm over here, how well can you do that role? You know, like I'm just doing this, just fart noises right now, and it's going to be great. And I really think because of the internet, and because we do see so much like user created content that turns into something that a person might be able to live off of, indirectly or directly. It's the filming yourself, you know, it's you get rid of your ego, understand you're fallible, maybe even suck, and film yourself. And it's okay to be fallible and to be not perfect, but you have to be okay with it so you can look at it and get better, and watch yourself and see what kind of effect you have on you if you're an audience member. So make stuff with your friends, you guys. Like, find a like-minded creative person and say, I have this one idea. A guy accidentally almost hits a dog, and then he brings it home. Okay, let's shoot that. Let's see how well you can kind of play that realization of loss and that relief. And then it's just all those things. And then you have tools in your arsenal. Like, I know I'm good at this, so I have this skill, this skill, this skill. I can build that character out of this, and this. And you have a starting point, and you feel more comfortable with your craft. I think the entire thing is about feeling comfortable with your craft. And I don't know how to do that without putting the 10,000 hours in. Like, I don't know how. Unless you're an egomaniac, I don't know how to feel good about it unless I know I've done the work. So just practice and create. And if that's what you're doing, how can you be let down? You've created something. And then maybe it might be something that other people will want to see. It's like, you could create something that it's just for me, and they're like, oh my God, let's show some friends. Oh my God, that's funny. I've never really seen that take on that. And then all of a sudden, or maybe it's the 10th time you do a video, that happens. But if you're just trying to make a video and stretch around and see how you make each other laugh or make each other feel a moment, oh gosh, there's nothing but learning there and growth.
That's good.
Yeah, make stuff.
Yeah.
Good advice, Jimmy. Good.
Very. Yes.
And my last thought is, I didn't realize it till I looked at my calendar today, is that it was exactly a year ago tonight that you and your mom were so generous in inviting me to join you and your lovely wife, Sophia, to see To Kill a Mockingbird with Jeff Daniels. That was a year ago tonight. And, you know, that was before all this craziness came. And I kept thinking, God, that was a great time. I wouldn't even want to go back to that.
I know. Wasn't that special?
It was. That was great. Yeah.
I was so glad you were able to make it out.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And thank you so much for being so generous with your time here with us tonight.
Yes.
Oh, come on now. Thank you for sharing your time with me, you guys.
Thank you enough.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinny.
And, I'm sure it'll be very helpful for the theater.
Oh, I wouldn't bet on the bill. I wouldn't bet, but we had a good time.
Yeah,
anytime
we did.
Anytime you want to chat again, you just, we text. You just let me know. And if you ever want to try a performance thing, I'm up for it.
That's really something. And I will just throw this in real quick, because Vinny had said to me earlier this week, well, maybe we should give Jimmy a little character, and we should try to work something up.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And my daughter Chelsea said the same thing. I said, I don't want to do anything overwhelming with such short notice. But since you offered, we may do that sometime.
Yeah,
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
And you could feel free to, and you can ask me anything, because that's an idea that totally makes me excited. So you let me know. You let me know.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. We appreciate it. Thank
Oh,
you,
this was great. This
Joanne.
was so
Ah,
great.
Oh, great.
Thank you,
Joanne,
Jimmy.
Vinny, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
And I miss your
In the
face too.
diner.
Vinny.
Thanks for the coffee. That's great.
Yes, thank you, Joanne. Delicious. That Peruvian single blend is
Yeah,
just.
yeah.
You're welcome.
The coffee was okay.
And
You got
out
okay.
there, all of you watching, thank
She
you
gave you-
very much for
She gave you the Charles Grodin deadpan after that one, Vinny.
keep an eye on our website and Facebook, on our Facebook page for future episodes and future Country Gate web specials. Thank you very much. And
Support Country Gate, please.